Hello, my beautiful friends. It's Ashley at the Iron Underneath. I wanted to bring you a little video on Arya and some thoughts I had on her and what she's going through and um, what what might help her out of what she's dealing with. I started thinking about it when I was rereading a chapter from A Storm of Swords where she sits down under a tree and it's a hanging tree full of hanging corpses, and she picks up an apple that's fallen from that tree, and it's full of worms, and she eats the apple, worms and all. She even kind of thinks like she's kind of proud of it. I ate the apple, worms and all, she thinks, and then she throws the apple core, and she's not bothered by it one bit. And it just struck me as an odd thing to do, sit down under a corpse and eat a wormy apple and eat the worms. So then I was listening to I think it was the Small Council, I'm sure it was, or just James of Thrones and LaDonna. Either way, LaDonna brought up this movie called The Babadook. I don't know if you've seen it. It's an independent film that's brilliant, and it is a film about what Carl Jung called the shadow self. And The Babadook is a movie basically about the shadow self. And, well, it is a movie about the shadow self, and it's told in the perspective of a mother who's just lost her husband, and she's going through incredible grief and incredible depression. And she has a son who's mentally ill, and she can't deal with it. And every part of her that is hurting and is having so much pain and grief is becoming her Babadook, is what she calls it. And she writes a book for her son explaining why she can't be there for him and why she locks him in the basement, is what happens. And basically, her locking him in the basement, it's the shadow self, Carl Jung said, is the part of ourselves, all of us, every human being has this, the part of ourselves that we just simply can't face. It's so dark. It's where all the nightmares lie. It's why we look under the bed at night when we're kids. It's the darkest part of ourselves that we just won't look at. And it's even unconscious how we do this, and we all do it. And so the mother locking her son in the basement in the movie The Babadook was her locking her own Babadook, her own shadow self, in the basement. And she actually fed her son a bowl of worms. So it got me thinking about Arya and this worm full of this wormy apple. So what it made me realize is that the shadow self and the Babadook is running through this whole story. I mean, it's of course PTSD and trauma of massive proportions is running through this story, but I think the PTSD and the haunting memories and the part of ourselves that we just, like this, the shadow self that we can't face, the things we've done, it's Jamie's line, the things I do for love, the things we've done for the people we love, the things we've seen, the things we've been through, the things we've seen them go through. So Arya's in this shadow self. She is only her shadow self right now at this point. And still, really, in the training to be a faceless man, she's still trying really hard to let go of Arya Stark, and she won't. And the reason why she won't is that she can't. First of all, it's who she is. Second of all, it's that shadow self part of her has not been dealt with yet. She hasn't grieved. She hasn't processed any of this. she saw her father beheaded nearly in front of her eyes if it weren't for Yoren shielding her. But she still, you hear things like that, and you never forget things like that. And the things she's seen and the things she's been through, it's just so sad. So what she's doing with it is so cool, and this is what is so amazing about it, is that Carl Jung said that um, if you ignore the shadow part of yourself, it will grow stronger. It's just you're at the point where you're a few steps from falling. You're a few steps from really falling hard in a meant more in a psychological way, um, into anger and hate, and he even said murder and really horrifying acts. So, but what he did say also is that to get the shadow self out and to deal with the shadow self, that you have to actually do something about it. You have to let it out. You have to look at it. You have to see it. And you actually, he said, he did say murder would be the best way, but of course we can't do that. But Arya can, and she has been. So what's so interesting about this, I mean, it was what the ghost of High Heart said, you know, be gone, please. Your heart is dark. And I can't remember exactly what she said, but I've gorged on grief at Summer Hall. Don't, please get away, get away, get away. And so, her heart was just full of too much pain and too much of this shadow self, and it scared the ghost of High Heart, who had seen horrifying things. So Arya eating worms, I think, might represent her acceptance of death, killing, murder. It's like a child sitting down and saying, nobody likes me, everybody hates me, I'm going to go eat worms. That's really what she did by going under that tree and sitting there and eating that apple. She was not in a place with people she was really very comfortable with, and then it just got worse. Then it got to the hound, and her shadow self is showing itself, but it's not quite there yet. She's still got her kill list, and she has not finished her kill list. And I think the killing of Mirren Trent really did help her shadow self to heal. But she's still going through the Faceless Man training, so obviously she's not dealt with it yet. The really interesting part of all this is that Jung said that this shadow self Babadook thing is something that a child would think of, that only a monster would do. Maybe an ugly girl, you know. Left alone, she would eat an apple full of worms. So by doing that, she's accepting the Babadook, she's accepting the shadow self. She also licks the worm in the kindly man's eye. That also was, he dared her, that was a child saying, I'll do it, you dared me. And it was also saying, it was also her unconscious telling her she needed to do it. She needed to do all these things. So Jung also said that the animus of all this is very subtle, and that often the introduction to this psychological event, this shadow self coming to life, is the fact that the father figure, or the husband figure, in Arya's case the father figure, presents itself as the shadow part of yourself starts to fade away. So Arya, I don't even remember her thinking of Ned or dealing with Ned at all. I just remember her thinking of Jon Snow and her other siblings. not her father. I don't think she can deal with it yet. So, Young said the child is surely the divine, and that maybe other child archetypes battle with monsters and do battle so that they can get back to who they are once and for all and deal with the shadow self, like I said before. So the other part of this that I thought was really interesting is that houses are the symbol for the mind. And there is a shadow Babadook in every house. Part of the reason for the motto, maybe, of the houses is who they are. And of course, we're finding out that it is. But winter is coming. What does that mean? Does that mean that the Starks are the others? Does that mean that they're a conduit for the others? Does that mean that they're mediators of some kind? That they're... What it really does explain to me why a Stark always has to be at Winterfell. And maybe it explains why a Stark always has to be at the Wall as well. Sorry about the noise. My husband and his friend are actually watching Game of Thrones right now. We have a really cool entertainment room, so they came over to watch. Anyway, so what I get out of all this and what I think of all this, and I'd love to hear your remarks on it, your comments, is that Arya will probably kill somebody on her list, and that she'll probably blow her third chance with Jaqen. And that will probably happen during the play at the Mummers show at King's Landing that she's getting ready to go to. And she'll go to that, and interestingly, Game of Thrones cast the woman who played the mother in the movie The Babadook in the Mummers as one of the actors in the Mummers play. So that's really interesting to me. So I can see that this is a theme that we're dealing with here. You know, this kind of ties in to the Starks, to the others, to the Wall, to Winterfell, to what winter is coming means, to... I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. So I'll just end it here. And why don't you guys leave your comments down below and let me know what you think. And let me know what you think Arya's gonna do, if she's gonna blow her chances, as I think she will. I think she will on purpose. If she can't help herself, she is Arya Stark. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing, all of my subscribers. I love you. And I'm bringing more content in a day or two. All right, on the Bastards of Westeros. Okay, I'll see you soon.